Hello and welcome to the online training on child complex trauma and parental belief systems. My name is Gwendolyn Anderson and I will be narrating the training today. There are three main goals of this training. By the end of the training, you should be able to 1. Describe the various types of trauma that children in child protection typically experience. This is called complex trauma. 2. Describe parental belief systems associated with the complex trauma that their children experience. And 3. Apply understandings of complex trauma and parental belief systems to work with children and families in child protection. The purpose of this training module is to foster empathic understandings of children's experiences of complex trauma and to draw attention to the belief systems of parents who perpetrate complex trauma on their children. This training is based upon over 20 years of research conducted with child and adult survivors, non-offending parents or guardians, and perpetrators of family violence and abuse. Later in the training, we will discuss how to apply findings from this research to work with families who have perpetrated and experienced this type of trauma. The authors and developers of this module are Jane Gilgun and myself, Gwendolyn Anderson, both at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities School of Social Work. Jane F. Gilgun, Ph.D. and LICSW, is a professor in the School of Social Work at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. She has done research on the meanings of child sexual abuse and other forms of violence to perpetrators for many years and has published widely in the area. I am a doctoral candidate and research assistant at the School of Social Work at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. I've experienced working with children and families involved in the child protection system and with children who have disclosed sexual abuse. Children in child protection rarely experience a single trauma. Children typically come under the care of child protection when they have experienced multiple traumas, typically in the form of parental abuse and neglect. When children have experienced multiple traumas and other adversities, they have experienced complex trauma. Complex trauma is when children and families are directly or indirectly exposed to a number of different abusive or neglectful actions by another family member. Types of violence that contribute to complex trauma can include sexual abuse, physical assault, witnessing physical and sexual assault, emotional abuse, educational neglect, physical and medical neglect, and emotional neglect. Children are at risk to believe that what they want doesn't count and that Complex trauma is when children and families are directly or indirectly exposed to a number of different abusive or neglectful actions by another family member. Types of violence that contribute to complex trauma can include sexual abuse, physical assault, witnessing physical and sexual assault, emotional abuse, educational neglect, physical and medical neglect, and emotional neglect. Children are at risk to believe that what they want doesn't count and that they themselves do not count if parents or other adults do not help them to work through beliefs that complex trauma can bring about. Children are at risk to have difficulty regulating their emotions, behaviors, and thoughts if parents or other adults don't help them. When children have complex trauma, parents are key to children's recovery. Their choices determine whether their children will receive the support that they need to recover from the trauma they have experienced. They agree to treatment plans and participate with children in treatment plans. They sign permission slips or do not sign them. They support or do not support services to children. By accepting the help offered, parents send the message to their children that they count and that their parents love them. There are several common factors among parents in cases with good outcomes. These parents typically want their children to have services, ensure transportation to services, or cooperate with the transportation assistance if transportation is an issue, process with children their experiences of services, and participate in services themselves so that they can function better as parents and role models. These parents do whatever it takes and make it a priority to take advantage of the help offered. Parent beliefs that support good case outcomes include admitting to themselves, their families, and children, and service providers that they have made mistakes, that they want help for the mistakes they have made, and are willing to do whatever they can to change their beliefs and behaviors so that they will stop harming their children and instead foster their healthy development. Some parents hold beliefs that don't allow for help from service providers. They are unwilling or unable to admit that they have done anything wrong. Some of these beliefs include, I can't be bothered, there's nothing wrong with me or my kids, I'm in charge of my family, kids need a good whooping, calling my kids names makes me feel good, sex with kids makes me feel good, I don't care about how I affect my kids. Now, we present a case example of a family involved in child protection. The mother, Kia, age 28, and father, Lang, age 30, are parents of 3 sons, ages 8, 7, and 6, and a daughter, age 5. The 3 sons and 3 other boys raped the 5-year-old daughter, Bao. During their investigation of the sexual assault, Child Protection found that the children had witnessed domestic violence and were often truant and tardy at school because their parents slept late. When the Child Protection investigator spoke to Lang about the sexual abuse of his daughter Bao, he responded by telling the worker that he believed his son's actions were just boys being boys. This statement validates his son's actions of perpetrating sexual abuse of his daughter. He also told the investigator that he didn't think his daughter should have gone with the boys, and that she shouldn't have said anything. These statements show that Lang places blame of the abuse on his 5-year-old daughter. Furthermore, Lang said that the publicity of the rape of his daughter shamed him. It didn't have anything to do with him. These statements show that Lang is more concerned with how the abuse looked to those outside of his family, instead of being concerned with his daughter experiencing the rape and her well-being. Finally, Lang told the investigator that he is a good father and is in charge of his family and supports them financially. He does not see himself as bearing any responsibility for the abuse. Kia, the mother, had very different responses than her husband Lang. After years of experiencing and observing her husband's abuse, she finally took action to better herself and her children's circumstances. First, Kia divorced Lang. Kia's reasons for divorcing Lang included concern for his continuing to show their sons pornography, for using substances on a daily basis, verbal and physical abuse of herself and their children, and authoritarian control of the family. Kia also decided that she wanted help with her own substance abuse issues, so she went to outpatient treatment for her addiction to opium. She also learned to speak English so that she could finish her education and find a job that would allow her to take care of herself and her children. Along with divorcing Lang and seeking substance abuse treatment, Kia also cooperated fully with the case plan, both for herself and for her children. She participated in parenting support groups and eventually became a parent mentor. She also participated in the recommended family, group, and individual therapy. She supported her children's recovery by supporting sex-specific offender treatment for her sons and sexual abuse trauma-focused therapy for her daughter. She also arranged for her children to have mentors, understanding that her children could benefit from another supportive relationship with a caring adult. She also enrolled the children in additional recreational and educational activities that they wanted to participate in, knowing that they would experience increased self-esteem and confidence through activities that they enjoyed. Through these proactive steps, Kia promoted the development of protective factors in her children as they recovered from the trauma that they experienced. Unlike Lang's denial that he did anything wrong or contributed to the trauma that his children experienced, Kia admitted that she had perpetrated neglect of her children. She realized that she had been self-medicating her depression and untreated trauma and was emotionally unavailable to her children. She also realized that she had failed to prepare her children for attending school on a regular basis and didn't allow them to participate in recreational activities. She also failed to protect her children from Lang's use of pornography and his physical and verbal abuse of the entire family. Kia was able to admit her role in the trauma her children experienced after getting help for herself through the multiple services recommended in the case plan. Through the help of participation in services, Kia was able to identify what her beliefs about abuse and neglect were, and worked to change those beliefs. Previously, Kia had believed that you shouldn't talk about your problems, that men were in charge, and that good women obeyed their husbands. She also believed that her opinion didn't matter, and that bad things that happened to her were her own fault. She also believed that using opium wasn't hurting anyone. Now she believes that talking about problems is important, and as a parent, she should have an opinion and is an equal participant in the family decision-making. She also believes that not everything is her fault, and recognizes that her substance abuse made her emotionally unavailable to her children. Unfortunately, Lang did not admit his role or take responsibility for the abuse and neglect he perpetrated on his wife and children. He refused to participate in the recommended parenting classes and support groups. He also refused to participate in any therapy, including family and individual therapy. And he dropped out of treatment for domestic violence after 2 sessions without any legal consequences. He also stopped participating in supervised visitation with his children. Lang's refusal of services and unwillingness to admit his role in perpetrating abuse and neglect meant that his beliefs remained intact. He continued to believe that the use of pornography is a form of sex education for his sons and is harmless and a recreational activity for himself. He also continued to believe that men are supposed to be in charge of families. He believes this entitles him to use physical violence to punish his wife and any method of discipline he wants to use with his children, including physical and verbal abuse. He also continues to believe that education is not important. Fortunately, the outcomes for Kia and her children were positive. Kia eventually earned her GED and became a licensed practicing nurse and is able to support her children financially. The children learned how to regulate their emotions and behaviors and sought pro-social ways to deal with their trauma by talking to trusted adults and staying involved in school and activities they enjoy. The rape of Bao was a sign of how bad things had gotten in the family. It was a huge family hurt. The sex-specific treatment program spent many sessions preparing the boys to take responsibility and to apologize for their sexual assault of their sister. The boys successfully completed the sex-specific treatment and do not perpetrate sexual abuse any longer. Bao and her mother worked long and hard with therapists to work out the meanings of the assault. When all parties were well prepared, the family got together several times to work on reconciliation over the sexual assault, and then to work out new ways of relating to each other. Their father did not participate. The outcomes for Lang were not so positive. He continued to maintain he didn't need help and wasn't doing anything wrong. He continues to smoke dope every day and uses pornography regularly. After his divorce from Kia, he had another child with his 17-year-old girlfriend and doesn't see his other children. The police have been called 17 times in the past 2 years for domestic violence. He uses physical, verbal, and emotional abuse on his girlfriend and is starting to hit his child. He was also tried, but not convicted, of attempted murder of an acquaintance. He believes he is a real man because he uses physical force to get what he wants. He still earns a good income and supports himself, his girlfriend, and their child. As demonstrated by the story of Kia and Lang, perpetrators of complex trauma are often parents or caregivers, which are the very people who are supposed to care for and protect their children. Perpetration of complex trauma can be due to actions or inactions of parents. Actions include physical, sexual, verbal, and emotional abuse. Inaction includes neglect and failure to protect. Lang perpetrated both actions and inactions of complex trauma. Kia perpetrated inaction of complex trauma. When children experience abuse or neglect from their parents or caregivers, they can believe that they deserve this type of behavior. As the case of Kia and Lang shows, there's not just one reason for why parents abuse or neglect their children. Most parents do not want to harm their children, but may have their own unresolved issues of complex trauma, coupled with beliefs that support the abuse. Examples of unresolved issues can include their own abuse, including verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse and neglect, or exposure to family and community violence. A history of unresolved trauma is a risk factor. Not having close relationships with others where they can confide their emotions is another risk factor. As we saw with Kia, her issues of unresolved trauma and lack of supportive relationships where she could confide her emotions contributed to her depression, self-medication, and feelings of unworthiness. Each contributed to her neglectful behavior. Some perpetrators believe that they can do what they want, and those that they abuse deserve the abusive behavior. This was the case with the father, Lang. He believed he could do what he wanted, and that his wife and children deserved the way that he treated them. Kia believed that she deserved Lang's abusive behavior, and that she didn't have the right to stop him. Contributing factors that can put additional stress on families include a lack of adequate resources and support, such as safe and dependable childcare, economic resources, enough food or access to medical care, a supportive social network, or a safe neighborhood. Next, we'll illustrate how complex trauma may look in the lives of another family with 2 children. This case is similar to Kia and Lang's case. This case study is based upon more than 20 years of research with abused children, non-offending parents, and perpetrators of family violence. At the end of their story, we'll ask you to identify the types of trauma that the 2 children, Jenna and Jackson, have experienced. You may wish to note the types of trauma you notice as you listen to their story. Jenna and Jackson are 5-year-old twins who are acting out sexually with each other and with other children. Their kindergarten teacher contacted Child Protection not only because of the sexual behaviors, but also because the children are often absent from school. When they are in school, they have trouble concentrating, use inappropriate sexual language, masturbate during nap time, and show their genitals to other children. Their hair is usually full of snarls and is often unwashed. Their clothes are dirty. They wear light jackets instead of heavy coats during the winter, and complain of being hungry when they arrive at school. A Child Protection social worker interviewed the children at school about their sexual behaviors. In separate interviews, Jenna and Jackson talked about multiple instances of sexual abuse, people coming in and out of their apartment to buy drugs, police calls because their father beats and threatens their mother, and lack of food and beds. Jenna told a story of the time that her father beat her mother and then did push-ups on her. They said their mother and father hit them, and they yell a lot and call them names like little shit, stupid ass, and ugly. Jenna and Jackson have experienced complex trauma. Now, take a few minutes to identify the types of trauma and abuse that Jenna and Jackson have experienced. Jenna and Jackson experienced sexual abuse, witnessing physical and sexual assault of their mother, physical, verbal, and emotional abuse, emotional, physical, and educational neglect. Fortunately, a caring teacher alerted Child Protection so that the children and family could get help that they need. Both the children and parents are in need of several types of services to help them process what they experienced. The parents will need additional services to process their unattended trauma and beliefs regarding violence. Next, we will hear what perpetrators of violence say about their beliefs and actions. Hearing what perpetrators say about their actions that causes trauma is difficult. Professionals have to take it in, however, in order to diminish the power of violence. If we turn away, we turn away from survivors. The following gives you an idea of what Jackson and Jenna experienced at the hands of their parents. As you listen, think of cases you have had and how their words fit or don't fit with your experiences in working with families. For perpetrators, sexual abuse is the ultimate high. Many describe it as the greatest feeling in the world, bliss, and mutual caring. Many believe that they are having love affairs with their daughters and sons.
The actual sex, I like that. Then the control. Being in control of her life completely was a thrill for me. I thought about it more than I thought about my wife. She occupied a lot of my time. I don't think of people's feelings. I still have a hard time with that. I'm pretty insensitive about other people. I'm really self-centered. It's just selfish, sexual gratification, and that's all. That's about all there is to it.
Many perpetrators believe that they have the right to beat their wives or intimate partners. They are in charge. They often get a thrill when they see fear.
She may have asked me a question, asked me, why didn't I go to work that day? I could always take it and turn whatever she said into the way I wanted it to be. What are you trying to do? You're trying to shame me. You're trying to embarrass me. You're not giving me any respect.
Many perpetrators believe that if they are hurting enough, they have the right to hurt others. Mike raped and beat his wife in front of their children because he thought she was having an affair. He felt hurt and angry. He didn't care that their 3-year-old was present.
I just swung and swung. I was so exhausted, I thought I would pass out. Then I wanted my sex. I blamed my wife and told her, if you wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have had to do this.
Parents may abuse their children emotionally and physically because doing so makes them feel better. Some may tell themselves that they are doing it for the children's own good. Some do it to control the children. They often are so focused on themselves that they don't think about the effects of their words and beatings on the children. That little shit! He asked me for a $200 pair of running shoes, and I said to him, "You little prick, who the hell do you think you are? I'm 3 months behind in the rent, and you want running shoes? Just for that, I'm taking you off the team. You can't go anymore." Then I beat the crap out of him. He deserved it. He's just like his father. Parents often have untreated complex trauma themselves. They may have depression. To soothe themselves, they stay up late partying or playing video games. They don't get up in the morning, and they don't often think that their children need their help to get ready for school. I get so sick and tired of that school social worker calling me on the phone saying, "Come get him. He just threw some chairs around. He grabbed some girl's butt. He mouthed off at the teacher. He's 7 years old. I can't do anything with him. When he's at school, he's their problem. I don't care if he goes to school or not." Parents may fail to bathe their children and fail to provide them with adequate clean clothing. They may also not provide their children with medical care. Parents may be depressed because of their life circumstances, or they could be poor and may need help finding resources.
Hey, you know what? It's her job to get the kids to school. That's woman's job. I'm a man. I'm bringing good money. Is it asking too much that she get her butt out of bed and get those kids to school? Same thing with shots. Whoever heard of a man taking kids to the doctor? That's a woman's job. Maybe she needs new meds.
Parents are emotionally neglectful when they don't help their children express their emotions and thoughts in constructive ways. Sometimes parents don't know how to do this themselves. They may welcome the help of service providers. Listen, I can't make a sissy out of him. Every little thing he comes crying to me, hugs my legs for God's sake. Just yesterday he snubbled that the other kids make fun of his lisp. I tell him, "Quit your crying, you've got a lisp, so what, get over it." Now my girl, she really stands up to other kids. If anyone pisses her off, they better watch out. She'll hurt them. Good girl. There are a few things to consider when working with children who have experienced complex trauma. The most important thing is ensuring the safety of the children and family members you work with. This is a basic human need and right. The second practice consideration is the type of care and services provided to children who have experienced complex trauma. Children need trauma-specific therapy and long-term support. When parents understand complex trauma and its effects, they are positioned to help children. In their daily lives, children may need help with learning how to self-regulate, establishing predictable schedules, recognition for any positive behaviors that they show, affirmation of their self-worth, and gentle containment when distressed. Coordinating consistent care with parents and other adults who care for children, such as teachers, is also important. If parents are unwilling or unable, good outcomes are possible without parents if children are able to engage in services and have other supportive persons involved in their lives. Identify what kinds of trauma children have experienced and imagine what it's like to experience this kind of trauma. Children who have experienced complex trauma are hurting. They may experience emotional pain not only psychologically, but also in their bodies. They may complain about frequent stomach aches or headaches. It's important for service providers to connect emotionally with the children. Show them empathy and caring. Assess children's beliefs about themselves. It's also important to assess parental willingness to examine their own issues and beliefs. Children often have questions about whether they are bad kids and did something to deserve to be treated badly. When children say they are bad, you can ask, "Do you think you're bad? I didn't know you felt that way. What makes you think you're bad?" Then listen. You can do the same things when children say, "I'm no good. Nobody likes me. I'm stupid. I'm ugly. I'm going to kill myself. I'm different. And I hate you." These are beliefs that children with complex trauma often have. Helping children deal with these beliefs constructively can go a long way towards helping children overcome the effects of trauma. It can be difficult working with parents who have perpetrated complex trauma on their children. However, some parents will be receptive to services and any assistance you can provide. Remember, parents were children once too. They may have complex trauma and beliefs that support the abuse and neglect of their children. Explore parental beliefs and experiences, or provide services that will help parents become more self-aware of their experiences and beliefs. Take a know-nothing attitude. You know nothing about the family when you start the case. Build relationships of trust with parents. Trust takes time. Seek to understand the circumstances of the abuse and neglect. There may be several factors, which aren't obvious at first, that contributed to the abuse and neglect of the children. Assess whether parents are willing to deal with their own issues. Few parents want to harm their children. However, some parents perpetrate egregious harm and are unwilling to engage in services. In such cases, out-of-home care is required to keep the children safe. When parents are unwilling to provide care to children, termination of parental rights, or TPR, is permissible by law and may be called for. Finally, work with parents to construct case plans. Some parents may be more likely to engage in services if they feel a sense of ownership of the plan and services. This can be empowering for parents and can lead to better long-term outcomes. Working with children who have experienced complex trauma and with parents who have perpetrated abuse and neglect can be very difficult. Hearing stories about what survivors have gone through can lead to secondary trauma. Taking care of yourself and preventing burnout is very important. Staying engaged in healthy activities that you enjoy is essential to your well-being and the work you do with families. Click on the video link to hear an experienced practitioner talk about preventing secondary trauma and burnout. This interview was conducted with a forensic interviewer at Corner House, a children's advocacy center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Anne's job is to talk with children who have made allegations of physical or sexual abuse. Prior to working at Corner House, Anne worked in child protection. Thank you for participating in this training. We hope you have found this information helpful for your work with children and families. For more information about child complex trauma, family violence, children's recovery from trauma, and perpetrators of violence, please browse the next few slides on further readings.